am Margaret Ann Windsor, and the name I have to use is Peggy Ann Dempsey. I'm married to Childers, and I've put a lot of videos up on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc. I found out about my kidnapping in 1983 after I'd been flown out to Larry Flint's, who had been shot near where I was living in Marietta, Georgia. He was shot in Lawrenceville. And I was doing a book about mind control murders, and Dr. Larry McDonald, U.S. Congressman, was in the book, case in the book, and Warren and Rosina Matthews, who were pathologists at the hospital, Piedmont Hospital in Atlanta, where Larry McDonald, Congressman Doctor, worked. So there is connections, but I'm going to skip it. His plane, the plane he was on, the KAO, went down, was shot down by the Russians when it veered into their airspace, August the 31st of 83. I was flown out to Flint's. I'd never met him, and I usually show the endorsement that he did in Hustler magazine, but I'll leave it out today since I've put it up so much in the past. What I wanted to say again, this is the real King Edward VIII, my dad. And I'm sorry about the lighting here. This is me. I didn't have one of these photographs until later. I was taken to this family, kidnapped and taken here. This woman had twins, and I had to refer to her as mother. I was taken there in 41 at age 2 years. I was born in 39. My dad was married to Georgia O'Keeffe's sister. That's my mom, Georgia O'Keeffe's sister is my mom, Claudia, the baby sister. Now then, my father, this whole thing, my mother was not approved of, and I'll tell you what their statements were. Some of the royal family. It's my understanding that the British people, the citizens, cared for my mom. It wasn't their decision. But members of the royal family, and I'm going to say, because this is my understanding, I can be wrong, but Queen Mary, who's my grandmother, of all people, did not want my mother to become queen and marry my father. They considered my mom a commoner, in the definition, an ordinary person without rank or title. Here's the point I want to make. My father never married this woman, Wallace Simpson. This is a double, a lookalike, who rode a tricycle. They did everything in the book that's so unreal to believe. The history has not corrected itself. My dad, a decent man, that's the reason they got rid of him. Married to a commoner. Excuse me, it's okay for illegal George VI, a brother, to help take down his own brother, the king, with lies, helping the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, President Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, the Kennedys, Joe Kennedy and his two sons, Robert and JFK, flew in. He was ambassador back then, appointed by Roosevelt as ambassador to England. And they flew in and out there, the two sons did, during the time I was born. Now, how did I get to Moulton, Alabama? Cortland Air Base. I sure didn't swim, did I, at age 2? I can't even swim today, so cross the pond. So this woman had twins, Peggy, Ann Dempsey, and I'm married to Childers. I still have to use the name. I want my name back. I will, unless there's God, I'll never be able to see my mom and dad. I don't know where my children are, Mark and Scott, who are heirs to the crown after me. So all this has been done in plain sight with me running around, finding out about it in 83. And this is me here. This is in, I think, about 43 that this was made. She killed her twins, Lana Dempsey did. They were born out of wedlock, Peggy and Carl. And she killed them, and it's, I hope the whole world has to hear the sordid story of all this and the torture that I went through, and my children and my country, really. I wouldn't be alive today if it hadn't been the British and Germans and some Americans. I think what's appalling is when I found out about my kidnapping, it's my understanding now and totally that so many people knew about it, and it's like a joke. So you can go back if you care to see what they did on April Fool Day of '80 to me after I had a letter from the FBI, William Harper, U.S. Attorney there, and I could keep going because what they've done to me and my sons every step of the way because we were born, because of our name and the crimes they committed against us. A 99-year seal put on my father, the real King Edward VIII, forced abdication with nothing but lies. He had an addendum, and it was all legal. It was done before the courts there, all legal, that stated should he have an heir, it would not disinherit the heir. And I was born, and then they really had my dad. They kidnapped me. They had the seal. That needs to be unsealed. If people say they want the truth, I'm talking about the Americans, for God's sake, what they've done to me here, and there have been some that have helped. But the people in Great Britain need to know the truth about the traitor that's sitting there using my money. I'm going to go ahead and say it. You should see what they've done to me here and my sons. They do not want it told. This country doesn't. And the part of the so-called royal family, when they can okay this woman assuming the role and marrying an imposter, and George VI having a movie made out of him like he's a hero instead of the thief and the killer he is, they should be tried before a world court, which, by the way, they control. The Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, Kennedys, some of my own people control it. So this is my dad, forced abdication. This is me, a picture from way back then when I was finishing high school. And I guess my thing is I never abdicated. My father was forced with lies. I never abdicated. I'm still, from the day I was born, according to the legality of what makes a queen or a monarch, I'm the real Queen of England, of the British, what's left of us. So that's all I can say. I've put all this up. I would like for the world to be faced. It'll only be then, the ugly, sick mess that will hit home and make people be ashamed when they can no longer hide it. So it was okay for members of the royal family to take down my father, a decent human man who was married to my mom, and I had stayed married to my mom. He was never married before, and lie with this woman. And the double. I just want to read a few lines from this that a friend of mine, Louisa Marshall, gave to me some years ago. He got from Great Britain. It's kind of, you can't read it too much, but it's shocking to see the lies that they made up and told about my dad. I mean, it is totally unbelievable. All of it lies.